Hey everybody, welcome back to World History with Mr. Finn. Today we are continuing to look at the spread of Christianity, a new religion that has come out of the Jewish religion from the East. So let's take a look at some things. Last time we talked about how Jesus had been teaching a message of love and everything in the Middle East, but that kind of went against the idea of the Messiah or the return of the Messiah, who was thought to be a warrior king who was going to fight off all the enemies of the Jewish people. And so some Jews began to follow Jesus and his message. Some Jews said, no, this isn't the right guy for us. In the end, Jesus will be crucified. However, his message had already been out there. It was there for people to hear. And this is the reason why it continues to spread. And that's what we're going to look at today. One of the things, let's start with Paul. Jesus had followers, close followers who would spread his message, were with him, experienced things with Jesus, traveled with him, and did everything. People who followed Jesus from the beginning. And then you also have people who jump on board with this message later. So those people are going to be the first people who are going to get out there and spread the word and the messages of Jesus. One of the most important ones is Paul. Paul's name was actually Saul. He was a Roman citizen who actually persecutes, which is going to be what we look at, or harms Christians in the beginning, but then turns to this religion and then starts to spread this message. Paul is going to, we're going to have him as a definition of take the message of Jesus, really, all over. That is what he is going to do, all over. So he is going to travel around, and he is going to spread the messages, the ideas, the teachings of Jesus to all of these people within the Roman Empire. He's going all the way through the Middle East to Asia Minor, back even further west. And every time he goes places, he's telling people about Jesus and his, messages and his words and all of his stuff. And he is going to really spread this religion along with all of the other people who were followers of Jesus at the time. And this is why Christianity spreads. Christianity is going to start in one small spot, but then the people who were really about Christianity went out and just were telling everyone, we're spreading this religion, and it catches on like wildfire, which we'll talk about. Eventually, we get to around 40 to 100 AD. We're going to start to see this. The New Testament. What does this mean? This is really the teachings of Jesus in a book, written form. The New Testament is messages from Jesus. Guess what, guys? Jesus did not write the New Testament. His followers wrote the New Testament, and they would tell stories about what it was like, what they saw Jesus do, what his message was. All of these things were then written down a little bit later on after Jesus had been crucified. However, this is now going to allow for, a written version of all of these stories and teachings, whereas in the beginning it was all oral, meaning that it was all done through communication, word of mouth. Let me teach you, let me tell you about things. Now this is going to be written down, and the New Testament is just going to help the spread. In fact, the New Testament is part of the Christian Bible today, which is made up of the Old Testament and the New Testament. Basically, the Old Testament would be the religion before Jesus, which would primarily be the Jewish religion, and then the New Testament alongside it would be then the teachings of Jesus and the writings of his messages. So we had Paul getting the word out to all these different places, spreading it, starting new churches around the Roman Empire. The messages, the teachings of Jesus are written down in the New Testament. We are going to see this start out small, but then it starts to rub the Romans the wrong way. And we're going to start to see persecutions, or the Christians are going to be persecuted. Why are they? Well, it goes back to last class. with Christianity, there was a belief, monotheism, which was on your terms, but I can just do this, one God. There is one God in Christianity. In the Roman religion, if you remember, there was many gods. And so the Romans said, hey, you can have any religion you want, but you must pray to our gods on certain days. Christians would not do this. It would be against their religion. It would be a sin, and so they couldn't do it. They couldn't just say, okay, we'll forget our religion for one day and pray to the Roman gods for the Roman state, and then we can go back to our religion. Not going to happen. So Christians refused to take part in these celebrations of Roman gods, which is actually, according to Roman law, treason, meaning a crime against the country. And when you have treason, it's punishable by death. A crime against your country, you can be put to death. And so persecutions, Christians are going to be persecuted primarily for that. They're going to Romans are going to look at Christians and say, hey, there's more and more of them. There's more Christian churches popping up. There's more people turning to this new religion. What is this? It's pretty small, but there's more and more of it. And they're refusing to do things for the religion or for the empire, and this isn't good. So you have emperors who are going to end up starting persecutions, which is going to be, persecutions can be anything. It's not just, if you're persecuted, you're not just put to death, but Christians were put to death, but they are also harassed, they're jailed, they are harmed. So persecution, I guess, for our term, is going to be harming. And persecutions, you can persecute anyone. It's not just Christians, but in this case, harming Christians is what we are dealing with. Harming Christians is being persecuted. So these Christians are being persecuted. However, this has an opposite effect. This means that only the most loyal Christians are going to want to continue to take part in this, which means their faith is very strong. On top of that, if they're persecuted, say a Christian was being put to death, they'd say, okay, I'm never going to turn my back on my one God. You can put me to death, and guess what? In my religion of Christianity, I go to heaven, so I am not scared. Go ahead. And then other people would see this and say, wow, maybe there's something to it. On top of that, the Roman religion was for the state, whereas the Christian religion was for the individual. You would have a sense of community. If you were a part of the Christian religion, you would then have other Christians who you would be friends with. You'd feel like a sense or a part of something, whereas Rome had gotten so big that there wasn't really a sense. You were a Roman citizen, but you didn't really feel a part of the empire of Rome. It was very impersonal, whereas Christianity was very personal, and it was a real thing, and there was salvation. You would go to heaven if you were devoted to this religion. There was a lot of things that Romans started to say, hey, this religion isn't too bad. Have you heard about this religion? Why don't you try this? And again, today we have a sense of religion where your religion is very important to you if you're religious, right? If you're religious, your one religion is important. Whereas the Romans, there was tons of different religions. And even in the Roman religious scope, of all the, gods, you might have one God that you pray to more than another one. You might like this one or pray to this one or sacrifice to this one. So it was kind of open. So if you were a general Roman citizen, Christianity, you'd look at it and be like, maybe I'll give this a try. There are some good things about this religion. There's also no, class system, I guess, in Christianity. You could be a poor person and be a Christian. You could be a rich person and be a Christian. In the end, you're all about the same thing. You're all about your one God, and you're all about doing following the teachings of Jesus and living up to those. You are going to go to heaven, whether you are rich, poor, whatever, if you do the right things. And so, again, there was a lot to like about Christianity if you were just an everyday Roman citizen. So as this religion grows through the 100s and 200s, there's ups and downs and persecutions, and one emperor doesn't like Christians and blames them for this, and then we have to persecute them and hunt them down. And then there's times where some emperors are like, whatever, and Christianity starts to grow and spread again. And so it's just over this time period, I should say 40 to 300. I mean, now keep in mind, we're dealing with a long-term empire, so we kind of lose track of time when we do that, but this is 250 years, right? This is it's a long time of growing before we finally see Constantine, who was an emperor, and he is our first Christian emperor. Our first Christian emperor is Constantine. So eventually, after so long, I think this was 313, was Constantine. AD. Make sure to put that. So we are after year 0. So in the year 300, we have seen Christianity start to grow, and it is now the most dominant religion in the Roman Empire, so much so that we actually have a Christian emperor, the first Christian emperor. After this, Christianity is going to become the official religion of the Roman Empire. Now, there's a lot of things that are happening during this time period, but again, the religious side of it, or the cultural side of it, is that within the Roman Empire, over this time period, Christianity is growing. We are during the Pax Romana in the beginning. We are seeing the consolidation of borders. Rome was in its golden age. No challengers really to it during this time period. So within all of that, there's also this subsection of the religion growing within this time period, which is Christianity. So we are at 313. There are, again, reasons why Christianity has grown. We have seen it now become the dominant religion. After Constantine, we're going to see Theodosius. You don't need to know that name as far as the emperor goes, but he makes Christianity the official religion. But we're going to get back to Roman history, and we're going to pick up around the year 300. Because in 300, or around about this time period, maybe, let's say 280 AD to 400, we are going to start to see the decline of the Roman Empire. And we're going to start to look at we're going to get back to Roman history and say, what path was it going? We already know that it got too big, but what is the actual fall of the Roman Empire going to look like? And that's what we're going to start to look back at. So the important thing today is that Christianity has grown. Christianity is a official religion of the Roman Empire. And why that's important is, even though Rome is going to go away, the empire of Rome, Christianity is part of the people now. It's established. People are Christian. At this time, it probably was the largest religion in the world because it was the official language or official religion of Rome. So it has grown from a tiny group in Middle East to now becoming, I would say, the most dominant religion in the world by 300. And we're just going to look at some other things that are going to happen during this time period. But Christianity will remain. In fact, there's still Christians today. You might know some, you might be one. So Christianity it's here to stay, from this point on. And next time we'll start to get back on track with Roman history. But if you can turn these notes into me today, we'll be off and running. We'll have another quiz or some assignment coming up soon. But let's get on with Roman history next time. So make sure you get that to me today for attendance and participation purposes, and I will see you next class.